Hello, farmers, and welcome to the harvest season. My name is Al,
And I'm Nadia.
and we're here today to not really talk about farming games. What kind of game with farming element, shall we say?
It has a farming element.
We love to shoehorn games into a farming game podcast. Look, if we managed it with Pokemon, we can manage it with anything, all right?
All right.
Welcome, Nadia.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
People have not heard you on the podcast before. Yeah, so Nadia suggested that we talk about a game called Cookie Clicker. Can we call it game? Uh,
It's a game. It's still a game. It just doesn't require a human to play it in a lot of cases, but
to start with, you have to start it off at least. But we'll get into that. Yeah, I decided why not? Let's do it. It has a farming element. And it's something that can be done reasonably easily without putting a lot of time into. Uh, although we'll get
well,
into that
you
with the farming
can't put a lot of
when we
time
actually
into
talk.
it.
Yes. So this is a bit of a funny episode because we won't be having any news this episode because behind the scenes information, we're actually recording this a whole month before the episode comes out. And I'll be recording another episode that comes out before this episode. So there is no news because I wanted a break from recording episodes. So there we are, no news in this episode. So we'll be talking about Cookie Clicker. But first of all, Nadia, what have you been playing recently?
Most of what I've been playing is Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green because I am shiny hunting for a Bulbasaur. I've been doing it for like the past couple weeks, like at
I was going to say how
12,000
many.
resets now.
I was going to say 12,000. That's quite a few.
Actually, 13,000.
Oof. I've never done like humongous hunts like that. I think my biggest was about 4,000.
Ooh.
But to be honest, I can't be accurate about the number because I get bored counting after a while. I'm just like I don't really care about the number anymore. I just want to get it. So I end up
I
losing
have like
track.
all these tally counters I got that are very satisfying to click with each reset. So I like using
A
those to
physical
count.
one.
Yeah,
Oh wow. Yeah, fair enough.
I'm serious
No,
about this.
I used one of these clicker apps and it worked fine. I just got bored of doing it every time. I was like, it doesn't really, the number doesn't change anything. It just makes me depressed looking at the large number.
It gets you more sympathy when you eventually get it.
Uh, true, but it doesn't really make it worth anymore.
I need validation, Al.
Always. Anything else, or is that? Well, obviously, you've been playing
I've
some Cookie
also
Clicker
been
too.
playing. I've also been playing Rhythm Tengoku on the GBA, which is the
Oh,
prequel to Rhythm Heaven on the DS, but it was Japan only. So I imported a copy.
that's very specific.
Yes. I haven't been playing much else because Bulbasaurs take up all my time.
Yes, fair enough. Well, I have been playing Cookie Clicker, obviously.
Yes.
Spoiler alert, I will be closing the tab after recording this episode. Don't think
No.
it'll be something I'll be continuing after, but we'll get
I
to that. We'll get
definitely
to the
will not
reasons.
be. I am hooked.
And what else have I been playing? Oh yeah, Mario Golf, the new Mario Golf. I've been playing
Oh,
that.
how is that?
Um,
I've
it
like
is
looked at
good
it.
fun. I think that the kind of normal mode, I'm very much enjoying. It's a very good golf game, very fun. The kind of speed mode, I don't like, mainly because I don't think it actually adds anything extra to the game that's fun. Basically, it's like normal Mario Golf, but you also have to walk to or run between the ball and where you hit the ball and where
Hmm.
the ball lands. It just extends the length of the game. It's not fun, and you can like you it's there's a timer, right? So you have to do it within a specific time, and I think that's
Yeah.
the only extra thing game part of the game because
Can you
you can run
interfere with the other
around
players
and
at
you
all?
can you can bash into the other players and stuff, but I don't think it actually does anything. Like all it does is slow them down. And let's be honest, you're normally easily doing it within like half the time. And there's no way you can bash them enough to slow them down enough so that they lose and also not lose yourself. So I really don't get what the point of it is. It doesn't. I feel like there's a missing element here, and I'm not sure whether I've just not noticed it or whether I've not unlocked that part of it, but it just feels annoying and pointless.
Well, what strikes me with that mode is that it feels like it would be better for like local co-op when you're around everyone, and then it's just all hectic and everyone's
Yeah,
shouting. It seems like
possibly.
it would be much better suited for that.
Possibly. I feel like there's something missing out of it that would allow it to be fun rather than just. I mean, I get the kind of like, okay, maybe you're with a bunch of friends and you've been drinking and it's fun to smash into each other on the golf
Yeah.
course. Right, fine. But like the main story mode uses this mode as well. And I don't feel like it's adding anything to it. Like it just makes it longer. And and actually, I think a lot of the story mode is completely unnecessary, right? I was expecting the story mode to be
Mm-hmm.
like small amounts of text in between matches, but actually, what it is it's like a whole RPG. But most of it is just like walking between two buildings on the opposite side of the match to go and sleep and then go to the next one. And yeah,
Oh
it
no.
just feels unnecessary extra things.
Yeah, I don't quite get why it has a story mode even. That seems like, I don't know,
Well,
you
I
just
think
want to
this.
play golf.
Yeah, I think the story modes are fun in that they kind of give you like a structured way to play the golf games. It's not just like, oh, I'll play
Mm-hmm.
a golf game and then I'll play another golf game and then I'll play another golf game. It's like, you actually have like rivals and stuff like that. So I think I like that. I feel like they wanted to justify the cost and so basically implemented an entire RPG, but then never used any of it. It's just weird. It really is. There's a whole bunch of
Mm-hmm.
NPCs littered about the map, and I can't bother talking to them because I'm like, what's the point? I just want to get to the next match. But whatever. But it's fun. The actual gameplay of Mario Golf is fun. I'm sure I've been playing something else. No, can't remember. I mean, Pokemon Go,
Yeah.
obviously. That's I play that every day still.
Oh, I need to get my
Still.
shiny Meltan again. That's a thing
Oh yeah,
now.
yes. What day is today? This is Thursday. That's fine. Still got 2 days till
Do
the
I even
next
want more shiny
box
Meltan?
opening. How many have you got?
Like four, maybe? I don't
Oh,
know.
four. How on earth four? My word. I've opened every single box that can be shiny, and I've had two. Two.
Well, 'cause it was like, what's the chance? 1 in 60? 1 in 40?
I don't know actually.
I might only have
Probably
two.
probably one in like 25 or 30, I think, based on my
Okay, yeah, well, I
memory
just
of
did it whenever the
previous thing.
last thing was, and I feel like I got at least a shiny every box I opened.
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Well, I don't think you need more, but maybe I'm biased.
Yeah.
I want a third one because I want to have one Meltan and one Melmetal for my shiny decks and keep one in Go. So I want a third one,
Yeah,
but
that's
I think
kind
I'll
of
be
what I was
happy once I've
thinking
got three.
too. Although, well, why not four then? So you can have one of each in each game.
Well, I'm trying not to keep a shiny decks in Go because it just becomes unachievable, and I like achievable goals. And so I have a shiny
And
dex that I'm working towards, and I only want to keep one in Go for battling and gyms. And I don't think there's any
all
point
right.
in having a Meltan for that.
Mm-hmm.
But each to
Yeah.
their own. I
Yeah.
mean, someone like Alex, who we know, may well want to do a shiny
Jeez.
dex only and Go because just
Yes.
doing one shiny dex is probably too easy for him. Anyway, we'll see how that goes. But
Yes.
I'm still playing that every day. Nearly finished the catch challenge for the 5th anniversary. Are
Ah,
you
yeah.
do you play it much just now? Have you got the
No, I
ticket
haven't
for
picked up the
GoFest?
game in months.
All right, fair enough. Do you go through bursts? Is that what it is? Like, oh, there's something happening. I'll maybe do it for a couple of weeks, and then you put it down for months, and then
Well, the last time I played was the last shiny Meltan thing because I was like, oh, I don't really like Meltan, but this is the only way I can get a
how
shiny,
dare you?
so I
How
might as
dare
well.
you?
I just don't like it. I don't
Do
like that
you
I have to
see
play
me?
Go to get one.
Do you see me saying I don't like Mudkip?
No,
Exactly. Meltan is a beautiful baby.
you don't have to go outside to get a Mudkip, though. I have to go outside to get a Meltan.
You don't have to go outside. You only have to go outside because you don't have any Pokeballs.
Yeah, because I don't want to go outside to get any. Because I don't
Well,
play this game.
you could buy them. You can buy balls.
You think I'm going to put money into a game I don't want to play?
You can open gifts.
Fine.
Exactly. Exactly. It's fine. I'm sure there'll be a way to get Meltan in not the next game or the next game, but the one after that. I'm sure there'll be a way to get Meltan outside of
Probably.
Go.
Eh,
We'll see.
we'll see. Yeah.
Anyway, I think that's all I've been playing. So yeah, should we get into Cookie Clicker because there's no news?
Yes, let's get into it.
All right. Do you want to give an overview of the game? I'm sure it's probably pretty easy to understand from the name.
All
And
right.
it's kind of,
Yes.
I feel like it's probably one of the bases for these types of games,
Incremental
presumably.
games. Yeah, it was the one. It was the first big one that took off.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was made in like 2013. The original version, I think it was just made by one guy overnight just for fun. And
Yeah.
you click a cookie, and then you get cookies when you click it, and then you can just buy more things that get more cookies, and it just keeps on going from there and gets wild.
Wild is one
Yeah.
one word for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
What I find really funny is it basically ends up being exponential. I've not done the
Yeah.
maths to see whether it technically is exponential or not, but don't jump down my neck. It basically becomes exponential, right? Because at the beginning you're like, wow, I've got 100. That's so many. And then
Yeah.
like, a wee bit into the game, you're like, oh wow, I've got 1,000,000. That's so many.
Mhm.
And you're 100. What even is 100 anymore? 100 doesn't get me anything. It's just amazing
Yeah,
how quickly the numbers become ridiculous.
I'm currently at 29 sextillion cookies.
Yeah, the numbers. I mean, certainly when you get up to those numbers, they don't really mean anything,
No, they
because
don't.
you know what a billion is compared to a million, but
Yeah.
do you know what a nonadecazillion is compared to
No.
a decaseptus? You have to do maths to figure out which number is which is
You just have
not good. But anyway, that's a good kind of overview of the game. You mentioned that there were things that you can buy to get you one. So, like, I guess to start off with, you buy cursors and they like automatically click.
Yeah, they click
And
for
it just,
you.
yeah. So I think it's like once every 10 seconds they
10
click and
seconds.
give you a cookie. And then you get upgrades to make them faster, and then you can buy more and
Yeah.
more. But then you also buy what I think are called buildings, and so you can buy like a grandma, and a
Yeah.
grandma gets
Yeah.
you, was it one a second? I
She
think
makes you cookies. I don't know. Well, it changes once you
something
get
like that.
upgrades anyway,
Yeah,
so yeah.
I think it's one a second, and then you get like farms, and farms do
Yeah.
faster.
Mines, factories.
Yeah,
Eventually you get portals to
time
different dimensions
machines.
full of cookies. You have prisms
Yeah,
to make light into cookies.
uh, JavaScript engines, which
Yeah, make cookies
I
out of
think
the
are like the
code from the
second
game.
top one.
Yeah. There's the
Which
Idleverse.
I find a
Sorry,
funny
what were you saying?
description. I find it a funny description of the JavaScript engine. Like
Mm-hmm.
all of the other cookies aren't just created by the code of the game. Like, isn't that the game? Is the game
I mean, you can just
making
open
cookies?
up the console and give you cookies, and that's the game making them.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, the little
true.
descriptions for everything, that's one of my favorite parts of this game. It just has so much charm, I guess, from all those. Because, like, almost every upgrade as well has just little flavor text as well as a lot of the achievements.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's so many. There's what 500 achievements or something like that, and
Yeah,
they all
yeah,
have just a funny little thing.
518. Yeah. And then all the upgrades, too. Some of them have a funny little thing about all the different cookies you can buy.
Yeah. Yeah. Um. Yeah. So you upgrade them, and kind of they make them faster, and you can buy more, and that makes more. But then there's also some mini games within it. And
Yes.
kind of one of them is probably where we'll spend most of our time talking, because this is
Mm-hmm.
a farming game, and we're going to eke out the farming as much as possible. So if you
Yes.
upgrade, so let's see
The
how
farm.
easy it is to
Yes.
explain this. If you gain sugar cubes in the game passively, so that's not something you're actively working towards. I think it's
Yes.
one a day, roughly, give or
One a
take. You
day,
can get
roughly. Although
upgrades.
you get things that speed it up
Yeah,
slightly.
but generally it's one a day. And yeah, the speed up is like an hour quicker. So it's,
Mm-hmm.
unless you're
Yeah.
going to be at the computer the entire time, it doesn't really make much difference to you.
Well, they still grow when
Um,
the game's closed, so it does make some difference still.
they do, but if you don't click on them quicker, then
Yeah.
they don't. It doesn't. You don't get as much of an advantage. Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
not massively important. We're not here to talk about strategy of the game, although maybe we are. We can talk about that later
Yes.
if you want. Um, when you get sugar cubes, you can use them to upgrade in a different way from the upgrades. There's so many parts of this game for such a simple game. And if you upgrade them with the sugar cubes, some of them unlock mini games.
Yes,
So as
there
we
are
were saying,
4
you have
mini-games.
there are 4 mini games, and as we mentioned, there's a farming one. So if you upgrade the farms, is it to the second level or is it just the
No,
first
it's just
level?
the first level.
You get the farming mini game, and this is where
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot to talk about, I guess, because it's
Yes,
very
there's
complicated.
so many. It's so it's so much more complicated than it needs to be.
Oh well,
I guess that's everything about this game.
yeah. Well, I think that's what I love about it is, well, love about it in one way. Find hilarious about it. Not love enough to continue playing the game, but you can appreciate something without actually firing your whole life into it. But it started with such a simple idea, but then just became ridiculous in its complexity. So you unlock the farming minigame, and I think you start off with just one plant, the wheat.
Yeah, it's just the baker's wheat.
Yep.
That's all you start
And
with.
it costs to plant a seed, but when you have a plant growing, there have different effects. So the baker's wheat, I think, increases by 1% cookies per second.
Yes.
And it grows and it dies over time. And the complication, however, is that you can crossbreed plants.
Yes.
So I think you can get from 2 baker's wheat, you can get another kind of plant, which I don't have the list
Yeah,
in
you
front
can
of me,
get
but I'm sure you do.
Thumb corn. I do. I have the whole chart in front of me.
We're obviously not going to describe the entire chart because that would be a
Yeah, all
dreadful
34
podcast.
plants.
But yeah, you have the ability to crossbreed them and then crossbreed those ones and crossbreed those ones and blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
Think the Animal Crossing flowers, but far too many more.
There are a lot of flowers. I don't know. I would say Animal Crossing flower breeding is more complicated than this.
I think it's more complicated if you actually look at how it works, and if you want to get a blue rose. But I think it's less complicated because, yes, there are probably more flowers. Most of them can't crossbreed with the others. You can only crossbreed for colors. You can't crossbreed the different types. Whereas here, like, to get to the last ones, you have to crossbreed loads of different ones that you've crossbred from different ones, and just knowing exactly what you need to do is very
Also,
complicated.
Yeah, the flowers are more intuitive. You put red and yellow next to
Yeah.
each other and you'll get an orange.
Yeah, ignoring the roses, they're generally
Oh.
reasonably easy to get them.
Okay. Yeah, so
Maybe the mums as well. The purple and green mums are difficult to get as well, but not quite
know.
like the blue rose.
yeah, I haven't played Animal Crossing in a while, but I've heard about that. Rose.
I still never managed to grow my own blue rose because I keep getting bored of it. I'm very close. I have 2 of the red because the complication in that is that you can have different kinds of red ones and different kinds of different colors.
Yeah, that's what I've seen.
So the easiest way to get a blue is to get a specific type of red, which I have. I've got 2 of them now. So it's literally, but I think it's still something like 1.25% chance of getting a blue one
every
from
day?
them. So no, every time it spawns. You don't even have it. That's not that. That's only if it spawns a child.
Oh no.
Yeah, 1.25% of the offspring, but you're not even guaranteed to get an offspring every day.
That sucks.
Yeah. So I may never get my own blue rose. I have one from someone else's island, but I keep getting bored. I'll go in and like maybe spend like 10 days in a row doing it and then be like, oh, I'm so bored. Yeah, so as I understand it, I think there are 3 kinds of plants. There's the normal ones.
And then there's weeds and fungi as well.
Yes, that's what it is, yeah.
So if you leave the plot empty from an empty tile, there's a really small chance you'll get a different kind of plant, which is metalweed, which spreads really easily, and it's not really useful on its own. It's only useful to breed and make more plants with it.
It's not just not useful, it's actively harmful. I think it reduces your cookies per second.
Some other of them do it, but the metalweed doesn't. But it will take over other plants if it's next to it. So you have to watch for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's some actively harmful plants that you don't want.
Yeah. So that is kind of the overview of how the plants work. I so I kind of let's get into opinion about this now. So I
Yes.
like it. It's quite an interesting addition to the game, but I also don't like it for a couple of reasons. My main issue
Okay.
with it, my main issue is that I kept forgetting to look at it. And the problem with that is that things obviously die off. And the only way to
Yes,
get a
you got to be
seed of a
watching it.
plant is to harvest it when it's mature. And if you
Mm-hmm.
harvest it too early, you don't get anything. And if you harvest it too late, it's already dead and it's gone and you've missed it. There are a couple of times where I noticed there was something new, but it was too early to do it. And then I went and got distracted by work or life in general and came back and it was dead.
Yeah, that's why I use the option to freeze your garden is quite useful. So I generally do that if I know I'm gonna be away, unless I have
Yeah,
things
well,
that take a really long time. But
yeah, I've done that. I've done that but the problem isn't when I'm going away for a time. The problem is when I just forget about it. Like I'm
uh
like, oh, I'll come back in half an hour, and then I get distracted by something and come back actually in an hour and it's dead.
you see,
you
that's
know?
why you just need to let the game consume you and take over everything. Then you don't forget about it.
Uh, no. I mean, part of the problem is that obviously, I work a 9 till 5, well, a half 8 till half 4 actually, but so like most of the time that I would be doing this, I would be working because I'm not gonna like take time out of time with my kids or whatever to do this, and it's not a
Oh,
game you
really? You're
just sit
not?
down to play,
Yeah.
and because it's
Yeah,
not
I
a game
do
you
it
just
like
sit
while
down to
watching
play.
TV or YouTube or something like
Yeah,
that, just in the background.
yeah, I play other
Yeah.
games that way. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, I will
Like
play other games and this because you don't
you're
really need
you're
a
sitting there
human to play it for most of it.
you're watching TV, you're getting your hatching your bulbas, and you're occasionally checking the farm on your cookie clicker.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think it's not inherently a flaw. I think it's inherently why I don't, pardon the pun, click with it.
Yes.
So
I
yeah,
mean, yeah, yeah, I mean, I really enjoy this system. I think it's cool, but like my main thing I don't like about is that most of the time, at least while I've been breeding to try and get all the plants, most of the time it's not super helpful in terms of actually getting your cookies. Although that could be because I've gotten into it fairly
yeah,
late game, so like I have in my bank like I have like in my bank a million times my cookies per second, so any small increase to CPS doesn't really help
yeah.
me. So maybe if I got into it earlier, that would have been more of a factor.
I think so. Obviously, I got into it quite early on because you mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
upgrade your farm
Yes.
first so you can get that quickly.
Yes.
And I, I still don't think it's humongously useful for that because,
Mm-hmm.
well, apart from anything, it takes ages to get anything more than just the baker's wheat. Because
Yeah.
the
Yeah, it's
the
really slow
mutations
to
don't
start.
happen
That's what I
quickly,
don't like. Mm-hmm. Well,
and
what that
it
depends on.
also
Oh, there
no.
is
On
one
you go.
soil you can get because you can change your soil and they each have different
Yeah.
effects, like making the plant effectiveness more. And the one you get when you have 500 farms makes plants mutate 3 times as much. So
Yes,
that's really helpful.
that's very
But
legitimate, but the problem is it
yeah,
costs so much to get 500 farms.
yeah,
Like by that point, it's not useful anymore. We're back up to your
mm-hmm,
issue of you have a ridiculous
yes,
amount of money by that point.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think that the other what was I going to say? Yes, early game it is more helpful, but when it's more helpful, the plants obviously cost a lot more
Yeah.
percentage wise of how much you have. So you end up paying a lot to get these plants and not really getting a huge amount back from them, I find.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because like for me, the plant cost is essentially negligible now.
Yes.
Just yeah.
But then also the benefit. you know,
Mm-hmm.
it's
Yeah.
it just becomes a vicious cycle, I think, where they're either pointless or too expensive to be useful.
Yeah. Although there are
The,
s- there is actually one strategy I found in setting up my garden that is super helpful, so there's one plant that's a golden clover that's fairly rare to
yeah.
get. They're ordinary clovers you get from it's fairly far down, but golden clovers, their effect is that they make golden cookies appear 3% more.
Yeah.
And so if you fill the largest plot with those, which you get when your garden's at level 9, you have 36 of those. So you can make golden cookies appear more than twice as often.
Yeah.
And I guess we should explain golden cookies will just randomly appear on the screen. And if you click on them, you get a boost. Like you'll have your cookie production times 7 for a minute or two. Or you get your clicks are worth 1,000 times as much for a few seconds.
Yeah.
But yes,
Yeah.
and then when you have those clovers everywhere, doubling how often they appear, that means you can often get those different effects to overlap a bunch, which can be very helpful.
Yeah, we'll get into the cheats at the end, but I had a very fun moment with cheats and spawning just like 1,000 golden cookies all at once, which is very funny to watch. But yeah, I think that is very true, but that's probably kind of one of the very limited uses of it. I think it's fun as a mini game, but you have to kind of go into it expecting just the fun out of it itself rather than it necessarily being useful to your overall cookie generation.
Yeah, right up until now, I'm playing it to get all the seeds. I'm not playing it to really help me get more cookies. I mean, I have almost all the seeds. I'm at 32, and I have one of the plants I need growing, and there are 34 total. So
wow, that's impressive. And you got all that without cheating.
Yeah,
nice. I did not. I got like 6, and then I was like, I want to see more of this before the podcast, so I just generated them all automatically.
Yeah. Once you get them all, you can sacrifice all your seeds and start over, and it gives you a small boost, and it gives you sugar lumps, which is useful. It gives you 10, I think, which is a pretty big.
Wow. Yeah, that's quite a few.
Thing because they take a day to get normally.
Yeah.
There's also one plant that when mature, if you harvest it, gives you a sugar lump.
Oh wow.
It is the hardest one to get. It takes like 1,000 ticks to mature, which will be like 3 days.
Yeah, if you're on the 5-minute tick. If you're on the 15-minute tick,
well, there's
then
the 3-minute tick as well.
I missed that one.
Huh?
I missed that one. The 3-minute tick. I didn't.
Yeah, that's the second one you unlock. That's the fertilizer where it makes.
Oh yeah, no, yeah,
that's
the
more
one.
likely.
It reduces their
the effect,
effectiveness, doesn't it? Yeah. I think that's why I never clicked on that one.
Yeah, I generally, when I've been trying to mutate plants, I just stay on that one while they all mature, then switch to the wood chips, which is the last one that makes them mutate faster.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yes.
I will say that farming not being humongously useful to the overall cookie generation, I feel is kind of a pattern for these mini games.
Some
I don't know what you
games are
think.
definitely more helpful than others. Like, I mean, we'll get to it then, but yeah, 2 of the others I found are very helpful if you know how to use them right.
Yeah. Anything else to say about farming?
Oh, yeah, there's one other cool mechanic in that. So some of the plants, when you harvest them, there's a very small chance you'll get like these upgrades related to that plant. Like there are, like with the baker's wheat, there's a 0.1% chance you get a wheat slim, which is just a permanent upgrade that you can have that will be unlocked forever. That it just gives a small increase to your cookie production once you buy it. So that's cool how there are like 7 of those. And it just adds another thing to try and get all of in the garden.
You do love collection games.
Yeah, so I've been filling my garden with wheat trying to get that, and I got it like just last night.
Cool.
Yes.
The next mini game is the stock market.
Yeah, I've barely touched this one. I mean, I
played
with it a bit. It's just
I tried early on because it feels like the sort of thing that could get you really rich really quickly if you play it right. But I found it was difficult to predict without just looking at the algorithms.
Yeah, I mean, I even did look at the algorithms, and I just was like, oh, yeah, I don't really care about the stock market part this much.
Yeah. Well, I guess the thing is there's no kind of permanency to it, whereas with the farming, you are, building up your collection of seeds. The stock market is just, are you going to get some more cookies or not?
Yeah. Yeah, the only permanent thing is like the achievements you can get from it, which, I mean, the achievements do affect your cookies per second, which is nice. That's a cool mechanic, how the more achievements you have, the more cookies you make.
Yeah.
So although as if I needed any motivation to get achievements anyway.
Yeah, achievements are their own achievement in and of themselves.
Oh, that just while we're on achievements, my favorite achievement. Let me pull up what it's called real quick. It's called Just Wrong, and you get it for selling a grandma. And there's like no other achievement like that. And then the flavor text just says,
Shocking.
"I thought you loved me."
Oh, no, that's so sad.
Yeah, I know. It's so sad.
It's all right. They
Yeah,
get their own
there's.
back in the grandma apocalypse.
Oh yeah, that's a whole. Yeah, who came up? How did he come up with that? Should we talk about that for a bit, or do we not
I
have
mean, we
time?
probably don't want to get.
Yeah.
I probably don't want to get into in too much detail. I guess it's probably
Yeah.
just enough to say that once you have a certain number of grandmas, I think it is, you can buy an upgrade that basically turns them evil.
Yeah.
And
And you
then it
have
kind
to
of
appease
escalates
them.
over time, and eventually you appease them and sign a
Yes.
peace accord with the grandmas.
You sign a covenant.
Yes.
You have to.
It's
Yeah.
it's kind of it's the sort of thing that if you're interested in it, it's fun to either experience it, or if you don't want to experience it and just want to read it, it's kind of a fun little story. Even it's
Yeah.
very small, but like
Mm-hmm.
there's a wiki that has it on, explains how it works. So it's a
Yeah.
fun little thing.
I mean, the wiki is very helpful in general. Has a lot
Yeah.
everything you need to know.
Um.
Okay, so should we
Yeah.
move on to the other mini games?
Yeah. I think we're done with the stock market. There's not really
Yeah,
much to say
stock
about that.
market.
It's a stock
Yeah.
market. You know what it is. The
Mm-hmm.
next one is. Was this one just called? I just written down Magic. Was it just called Magic, or was there another
It's
name
called
for it?
the Grimoire, which I had to look up how
Right.
to pronounce that word before coming on here.
That's the problem with podcasts.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So it has different spells you can cast, and I've only really found one of these to be useful. I mean, I'm sure there are ways to use the
Yeah.
others, but the one that just summons a golden cookie,
Yeah.
that's the best. I'll generally wait to do that until I have other effects going. Like you can pretty often you'll get both a frenzy and another effect going that boost yours. So when you use that, that can be really useful, especially if it
Yeah.
gives you a click frenzy, because that can just start. If you have two boosts and a click frenzy going, that can be a mega combo, which often if you get that, you'll end up making more cookies than you've baked ever before in like 10 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
So
definitely a
that's so
theme with this
fun.
with this game.
Yes. Yeah, once you get into late game, you're just waiting for short bursts where you make a bunch of cookies and then you make
Yeah.
barely any.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's not
Like,
you don't make barely any. It's
yeah.
just that the price of things just skyrockets. So it
Yeah.
takes a
Well,
lot
yeah.
to
Well, and
upgrade
you
after a
and
certain
you
point.
make barely any compared to how many you have.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
right now I have 39.449 sextillion, and just I'm clicking as fast as I can, and the number just is not changing because I make so few cookies per second and per click relative
Yeah.
to how many I have.
Um, yeah, there's a few others. They also have a possibility of backfiring and doing a
Oh
negative
yeah, yeah,
effect.
yeah. Well, so the golden cookie one, the backfiring, it just summons a wrath cookie, which is unlucky, but you can really easily circumvent that by just not
Not
clicking
clicking it.
on it. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's the safest spell to cast. There's like no chance of it going wrong.
Yeah, I was using this one that's like I think it's give you 10% of your CPS in one go. No, it's not CPS,
Yes.
your bank account. But its
Hmm.
backfire is like it halves cookie production for 15 minutes, which if
Yeah.
you have multiple of them, they stack time wise.
Hmm.
So there was a point where I just went I got 4 backfires in a row.
Oh no.
And so I had an hour of halved cookie production. It was dreadful.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the spells seem interesting, but like none of them really seem worth the chance of backfiring.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Similarly to the stock market, like it's
Hmm.
just you can get really negative here. So why even bother
Yeah.
when you just things increase as you go on anyway? It's meant to be an idle game. You don't
Yeah.
need to speed it up.
Okay, so is that all we have to say about the
I think so.
Grimoire?
Yeah, the
Yeah,
final
so
one is the
the
Pantheon.
Pantheon. So that's when you get temples. That's when you upgrade your
Yeah.
temples. You get it's you have all these different spirits you can worship and these different slots you can put them in. I'm just laughing as I describe this because this is a game about cookies. Remember?
Yeah. Yeah, I love that these ancient gods help you with your modern
Yeah.
cookie production.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this is really helpful, but it's not too interesting because I pretty much just have 3 set, and just from
Yeah.
doing research, everyone agrees, like, yeah, these are the best 3 you typically want to have. So I haven't touched some of the other ones.
Yeah. I
Uh,
think I didn't look into kind of strategies for that. The
mhm.
main one I was using was the one that just gives you 15% increase in the top spot. But the disadvantage of that one is that it jumps off if you get a golden cookie.
Yeah, so I couldn't use that because I'm always actively playing and trying to click the cookies. So
Yeah.
that one's not too useful to me.
I
The
guess
one
it's
I use
probably
in
we should probably say that you only have a certain number of swaps you can do. So
yes,
that's why
yeah, so
the
you can only
jumping
swap.
off is a problem.
Mm-hmm. You have 3, and then the fewer swaps you have, the longer they take to come back. So like if you use all of yours, it takes 16 hours.
Yeah.
But I think if you only use one, then it only takes an hour to come back.
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
the one that jumps off when you do a golden cookie it also
Mm.
removes all of your swaps, so you
Yes.
have to wait 16
Oh,
hours to put anything on
yeah.
again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the one I
So
use in the top slot is the Spirit of Ruin, which if you just look at it, it doesn't seem like it's super useful because when you sell a building, your buff boosts clicks by 1% for every building sold for 10 seconds, which it seems like, oh, why would you really want to do that? But when you have a lot of cookies, buying buildings back doesn't really affect you that much in the grand scheme of things,
yeah,
especially like your lower buildings, like your farms through temples. So then that's whenever you get a click frenzy that doubles, that makes your clicks worth a lot, you can just sell a bunch of your buildings and then it's worth so much. And it's so fun to get so many cookies with that.
yeah, that's interesting
Yeah.
because I'd never really sold buildings other than at the beginning to see whether it would be worth it when I was getting up higher and going, well, these aren't creating very much.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is that
Yeah, you generally
you get
don't want to sell
upgrades that
buildings.
boost. Yeah, you get upgrades that boost the other ones. So, like, your grandmas may not be making very much, but they're also boosting your farms by
Yes.
10 times and they're
Yeah.
boosting this by that much. So, it ends up
Mm-hmm.
massively decreasing it. And the buyback price is not enough to make it worth it.
Yeah. Well, because also since the prices grow exponentially,
Yeah.
what you sell to get back, it's barely anything. Like I could.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So is that all we have to say about the Pantheon?
I think
It's also
so.
not.
So,
I think the farm's the most interesting of the
it
mini games
it's
by
definitely
far.
the deepest one. I mean, you can probably go pretty
Mm-hmm.
deep in the stock market, but in terms of like
Yeah.
what's actually interesting to us, it's the deepest
Yeah.
one. So the other, I think we've kind of talked about most of the actual game itself, unless there's anything you can
Mm-hmm.
think of that we've skipped.
Yes. No. Yeah. I think we've covered most of everything.
You can also there's seasons. Have we talked about seasons?
Oh,
Have you?
seasons. Oh, I love seasons. Yeah.
That's probably worth a mention.
Yeah. So so once you can prestige in this game and ascend where you reset and you get extra
Oh yeah,
boosts. Yeah, and one of those boosts is you unlock the season switcher, which normally just on different days, like if you're playing on Christmas, everything will be Christmas themed and there'll be reindeer you can click on. And the season switcher just lets you switch whenever you want for a certain cost. So that's
yeah.
fun to play with, and there are different seasonal upgrades you can get for each season.
Yeah, I was going to say, so I think if you do the Easter one, you can come across eggs as well, which are
Yeah,
like
there are 20 different
upgrades.
eggs you can get, which are all do different things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, we could talk more about the ascension and everything and all that, and
Yes.
all the boosts
Yeah.
you get there. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's
So this is where it really goes quite crazy because you
yes.
literally ascend from the mortal realm.
Yeah. So yeah, the first ascension upgrades you get are pretty simple. It's just there are more upgrades you can purchase that give you a boost, and then there are a few that let you keep an upgrade permanently. So those are kind of helpful,
Yeah.
just to get you back on your feet quickly.
Yeah, I think there's like
And then
you can do 6 which you can have automatically unlocked and I
yeah,
think there's another
5.
couple which are
Yeah,
is it 5? Is it not 6?
yeah, it's 5.
I don't actually have it in front of me. I'm
Doesn't
just
matter.
remembering
Yeah,
from when
yeah.
I
I have.
finished it off this
No.
morning.
Yeah, I have it open right now. Yeah, so there are things that'll you can make golden cookies appear more. You can make everything cheaper.
There's
You can
also
have
one
it.
which is quite nice, especially early on, which is you can automatically start with 10 grandmas and 5
Yeah,
curses.
and
No, 5,
10.
10
Yeah.
curses and 5 grandmas.
Mm-hmm.
Means you don't
Yeah,
have
and
to
then
constantly click.
mm-hmm. Yeah, so those. I mean, yeah, I've gotten to the point where I have all of those heavenly upgrades right now.
Yeah.
Just so that's. So I guess the only point to ascending is that I just get a boost to CPS now, which I mean is still pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, you get to a point where you're just like seeing how high you can push the number.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which I guess is was kind of the original point as well, right? Like
Yeah.
just
Well, I know that
click
I think
this,
the
see how
highest
high up it goes.
achievement. I think the highest achievement you get is for like baking 1 vigintillion cookies, which is like the prefix for
A lot.
20. Billion, trillion. Just keep going until you hit 20.
I mean, let's be honest. It just doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah.
Numbers just stop meaning anything at that point.
Yeah. They really do.
Like when it's quicker to write it in scientific
Mhm.
notation, you've lost me.
Yeah. Oh, well, just while we're on achievements, I think there are a bunch of just little fun achievements that you can get. I think my favorite is, I don't know if you've even gotten this one out, if you make the browser window smaller so that your cookie goes into the milk below it,
Ah,
you get an achievement for dunking the cookie in the milk.
I had not. I had not done that one.
Yeah.
I got most of them. I think I got like 140. No, what was it? 400 and something I got.
Yeah, I'm
So I
at
got most of them.
465. Yeah. Yeah, because most of them
But
are just, oh, have this many of this building. And
yeah,
like, what?
exactly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's very easy to get them if you cheat. Uh,
Yes.
which
Oh,
which
there's
leads
an
us on to
achievement.
the. Oh, sorry. If you got more
Uh,
to say about the achievements,
I
that's fine.
just have two more achievements I want to mention. Well, there's
Go for
one
it.
you get for just clicking on the achievement slot for it. You just click on it and then you get that one.
Oh, for goodness sake.
Yeah. And then my favorite was, well, there's never click and there's true never click, which is to make 1,000,000 cookies with either 15 or no cookie clicks. So you make that many cookies
Wow.
without clicking the cookie. So I got those when I first started. You have to wait forever for the golden cookies to appear to get the true never click one. You
Well,
don't click the cookie.
unless you have the heavenly upgrade to get you the free
No, you need to get
grandmas and
it
cursors.
without those.
Oh,
Yeah.
nonsense.
Yeah.
You have spent far too much time playing this game.
I have. I've been on this legacy for 56 days so
Wow.
far.
Wow, that's I think longer than I played the game entirely.
I wonder if I could find one of my old saves because I played this game when it first came out as well, and like intermittently throughout.
Yeah, I feel
could.
like it's the sort of game that I probably did play at some point, but then like never really got into it. Just kind of played it for like 2 days and went, that's funny. I'll close that now. But yeah,
This
so
game has been open on my browser for the last 2 months.
it's ridiculous.
It is.
Which brings us on to the final thing we want to talk about is that there are a number of fan add-ons to it.
Yes. The add-ons are fun.
They are, I guess, mostly for, cheating either by automating things more, which, you could argue, is it cheating or is it just taking this to its logical extreme?
Well, I mean,
or
yeah, I don't
some of them give
play
you
the
more
game however
information
you
as
want
well.
to play because
Yeah.
it's not like you're hurting anyone else by cheating. Yeah, I just
No,
use,
I know. I'm just
Yeah.
I'm just questioning whether it should count as cheating or not. I think the problem is the word has connotations.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So the main one I use is this one called Cookie Monster, which I guess is probably not, I don't know, I wouldn't consider it cheating because it just it provides you information that you could already figure out if you wanted to,
Yeah.
but it just does all the calculations for you to tell you like, oh, this building's the most efficient for you to buy right now.
Yeah.
And all that. So I just like having that. And it also gives you timers for like, oh, when is the golden cookie going to appear roughly, and can like flash the screen
nice.
when one appears so you don't miss it. So that's all nice. And I like using that. And there are plenty of others. It's like, have you
I used to kind of
some of them?
there was one that I can't remember what Christenum or something like that basically was like this massive cheating one, and it basically allows you to kind of
Crustulum,
spawn golden cookies and kind of give you extra sugar cubes just out of thin air and stuff like that. So I
I
used
assume you
that, and
got
also
the.
there's that unlock all seeds as well. So yeah, I did that
Hmm.
because it got to the point where I was like 2 days to go, and I still had only 6 of the seeds unlocked, and I was like, I want to get all these. And then when I installed it and did that, I then looked in the other ones and went, let's see what this button does. And I clicked that and went, oh, okay, cool, right. I'm now automatically clicking on the cookie, and it's
Ah.
times 1,000 on my clicks. And oh, look, I now have more cookies in, as you say, 10 seconds than I have ever had previously.
Yeah.
So it got a little bit insane because actually that was quite fun because, as I mentioned, it really is just a logical conclusion of how this game works, right?
Yeah.
Of just exponentially
Number go
increasing
up.
things. Exactly. And so instead of clicking on the cookie, I was clicking on the button that generated the golden cookie. And I think this it's quite funny because I'm pretty sure there's a golden cookie that makes more, like a whole series of golden cookies
Yeah,
appear.
there's a cookie storm. Oh no.
And yeah, and so it will but there's also a setting in this cheat to automatically click on the golden cookies. So, so you get a point where you click a button and it gives you a golden cookie, which generates the golden cookie storm, which the cheat automatically presses them all. So it just suddenly everything happens all at once. It's utterly ridiculous. I think at one point I ended up with 20 different what they called multipliers, all from golden
Oh
cookies running at the same
man.
time. It was just quite insane.
Yeah, cheats are fun to play around with in this game.
Yeah,
Like you can
I
also
guess.
just you don't even have to use the add-on. You can just open the console and just say and just
Yeah,
type a command like set your cookies to this many
yeah.
and all
Although
that.
I'm pretty sure there's an achievement for cheating as well,
Yeah, it's cheated cookies taste awful. It's a
which
shadow
is fine
achievement.
because we're not eating them; we're selling them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Are you even
Actually,
selling
are
them? You're
we
not
actually
making money.
selling
You're
them?
just making
Yeah,
them.
yeah. We're
The
just
cookies are
well.
your money.
You're
I
giving
guess
them to buy buildings, so they are the
it's a barter
currency.
system, or cookies are the currency. Yes, but then you're not selling them. You're just so I guess you're running a mint.
Yeah, the de facto currency.
Yes, well, there's a de facto currency because there's so many. Although I feel like inflation is kind of a problem.
That's why you need to keep
Maybe
making
that's why
them.
the buildings get so expensive so fast.
Well, that's the
You just
thing,
keep
right? Like
devaluing
that's
them.
the way inflation works past a certain point is that
Mm.
it's now too late to fix it. You have to make inflation to make it worth anything. And so you have to keep making more, and which just emphasizes the inflation. It all makes sense now.
Yes, this game is really just a statement about economics.
I'm
Humanity's
not sure
endless
what it's
greed.
trying to say, but it is saying something.
Mm-hmm. It sure is saying something.
There was also an add-on which was useful for the farming, which kind of automatically will harvest if they're nearly about to die and you don't already have the seeds, stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that.
Yeah.
Which I would have used had I not already just clicked the button that said
Just
unlock all
unlocked all of them.
seeds.
Yeah.
Once you're at the point where you're like, I'm not going to do all the work to get all of these, then you may as well take the shortest route to that
Yeah.
destination. I think that was all of the add-ons that I tried out. Are there any
Mm-hmm.
others you want to talk about?
No, none others I want to talk about.
Cool. Well, I think that's Cookie Clicker then.
Yeah.
You obviously have been playing it for a while.
Yes.
Do you want to summarize why you like it so much and why you're going to continue playing it?
I guess it kind of boils down to I like seeing the number go up. It's something to do. It's just I don't know. These are the
Fair
kind
enough.
of games that will just hook me. Like especially if they're on my phone, it's really dangerous.
Yeah.
So
I
that's why
noticed
I
there is
kind
an
of
Android app for this.
yeah, I avoid the mobile kinds of these kind of games because the
Yeah.
just I don't know. Yeah, yeah. I played this game I think pretty close to when it came out. I've just always kind of loved it. It's just addictive,
Yeah.
good to do
Fair
during
enough.
school, which I've done a lot.
Yeah, I suspect that if I was back in school when this was coming out,
Yeah,
I
especially if you
probably
had
would have
to
used it a
be
lot more
going to
then.
school online on Zoom.
Yes, yeah, that's true.
That's
The
how I
last year
started
is
this.
bad combination for that.
Yeah, that's what got me back into this. Really, just
Fair
need
enough.
something to do.
Yeah, I guess the reason, because obviously I mentioned at the beginning that I'm going to close the tab. I actually have already closed the tab. Um, I think that it was fun for a while and I did enjoy it, but it gets to the point where I'm just kind of, yeah, sure, I could just enjoy the number going up, but I kind of want a little bit more to it, and that you feel like
Mm-hmm.
all of the progression is already gone. Um, after a while, it's like, okay,
Yeah.
I now have to wait so much time, and I'm not constant. I don't like to kind of babysit it like you do. The point I find is for it to be idle, for me to just occasionally check in. But there are so many parts of it that are you have to actively be watching it, like the golden
Yeah.
cookies and the farming stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
that's fine, but it's not really what I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get what you mean
It,
about like running out of things to do. I guess I kind of
yeah,
helped that by like not getting into the farm until late game, so that kind of helped extend how long I have things to
yeah,
do. But I might hit that point fairly soon because I mean I'm pretty close to most of the just have enough buildings achievements as well,
yeah.
and bumping up against that. So yeah, who knows? We'll see if I how much longer I keep playing this.
Got to get all those achievements first.
Yeah, and well I have to get the last seed I need, last two.
Yes. There's I'm pretty sure there's a couple of achievements you can only get by doing. There's a modifier when you respawn, and which basically resets everything, including the levels of your buildings
Mm-hmm.
and like your farm minigame and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um, but that feels like it's just restarting the game.
Yeah.
Just like, okay, do I want to do that just to get the last few achievements? I don't know.
Well, I mean, you get back to where you were pretty quickly when you ascend.
Well, no, but the point of this one is that you don't have all of your additional things. It's like a
Oh, yeah,
clean
yeah.
slate.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, you mean the born again. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's pretty much if you want to get the. I think he added that just because there was no way to get like the never click achievement if you didn't do it from the very start.
right. Okay,
That yeah,
makes
that's the
sense.
main reason that that's there. And also, well, there's some speed baking achievements, which is like get to 1 million cookies within so and so minutes. So I haven't tried those yet.
Yeah,
I might at some
yeah.
point.
The really easy way to do that is the cheats.
Yeah, just cookies equals 1 million. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I definitely see the enjoyment in it, and I definitely did get some for a while. But yeah, I think my time has passed for it.
Yeah. Oh, just one more shadow achievement. Have you gotten the one that you just have a 1 in 500,000 chance of getting each second?
I don't think I did, but I read about that one. Yeah, it's
Yeah, that's all. That's all it is. You just got to get lucky.
yeah. You just got to keep playing. Eventually, you'll get it. Maybe.
Yeah. I just woke
What'll
up
come
one day
first,
and it's
that
like,
one or your
oh,
Bulbasaur?
you got this achievement. Well, I
Oh,
already
you got it
got that
already.
one. Yeah. Well,
Fair.
because it's every second. So
Hmm.
500,000 is. So you're expected to get it over like 138 hours. So, okay, that's kind of a while.
Yeah, it's under 6 days, but that's
Yeah.
presumably only when the game
6 days of game being
actually
on.
running.
Yeah. Although I leave it running overnight to get more cookies.
It's ridiculous. Especially if you have all the upgrades, you'll get, was it 18 hours of 75%
Yeah, it
at
was
this
like
point?
80% or something. Yeah, for a certain
Yeah,
amount of time. Yeah,
yeah.
so that's when you just have the game closed. So that's pretty nice. Although I haven't really used that too much because I never closed the game.
Shocking. Well, Nadia, thank you for joining me to talk about Cookie
I know, it
Clicker.
was a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Um,
Thank you for having me.
Not a problem. If you listeners want to follow me on Twitter, you can do that at the Scottbot. If you want to follow the podcast on Twitter, you can do that at THSPod. You can also email us from our website, harvestseason.club. You can also find links to various other things there, including our Patreon, which you can subscribe to. It's the beginning of a month, so that's always a good time to subscribe to Patreon because you get the whole month for the one price, as opposed to subscribing on the last day and just getting 1 day for your month. It's what Patreon does. On Patreon, you can get access to our entire backlog of the Patreon-specific Greenhouse podcast episodes, which is just where we chat about other things. On the next episode, me and Nadia will be talking about our opinions on people's opinions of the OLED Switch that was announced a few weeks ago.
Takes out there.
So if you want some meta-analysis on that, you can subscribe to Patreon to get that. Always weird and wonderful stuff on there. I think that's everything then. Thank you again for joining me, Nadia. Thank you, listeners, for listening. And until next time, have a good harvest.
The Harvest Season is created by Rochelle Delaney and Al McKinley, with support from our Pro Farmer level patrons, Kevin and Stuart. Our art is done by Micah the Brave, and our music is done by Nick Burgess. Feel free to visit our website, harvestseason.club, for show notes and links to things we discussed in this episode. Thanks for listening.